Creative Magic Club. What's up? This is Sarah Mack and welcome to Creative Magic Club. Together, we'll discover inspirational stories of creative entrepreneurs living out their dreams, doing the work they are most passionate about, and building wealth in magical and fun ways. While building a six-figure income as a writer and coach, helping other women to launch their dream businesses, I've connected with so many incredible people and seen it proven again and again that you can thrive financially doing whatever it is you are passionate about. I'm here to share life-changing strategies for mindset, making money, and reaching more people with your work in a business and life filled with creativity, freedom, and fun. Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Creative Magic Club. I'm super excited to introduce my guest today. Rachael Ferrera is a certified Reiki practitioner, life guide, and spiritual teacher. She's the founder of the Align and Shine movement. Rachael specializes in helping ambitious artists, creatives, and multi-passionates to level up their lives and careers by learning to deeply love themselves, trust their intuition, and follow their unique paths. Rachael is also an artist who believes in the powerful intersection of mindfulness and creativity. She's an actress and singer who originated a role on Broadway, has performed on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and can be seen on Netflix. Hi, Rachael. So excited to talk to you today.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, so let's kick this conversation off with you giving us a bit of backstory. Like, how did you arrive at having your own business as an energy healer?
Oh, yes. So shortly after I graduated from college, I was seeking. I feel like I was seeking something a little bit, just sort of passively in the back of my mind. I wasn't thinking about it, but I read the book Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. And I always think this sounds so cliche because my story starts with, I read the book Eat, Pray, Love, but I did. And what was powerful about it for me is there were a couple of things that she did that I found really, really intriguing. Like, she talks about going to this silent retreat at one point, and I remember thinking, wait, that's a thing that people do? That's so interesting. And she also talks about going to see some kind of medicine man or something like that. And I believe there's a story in there about, like, you know, how he can like touch someone's knee and he knows all these things about their body and how it's working. And I remember reading these parts of the book and going, what is that? Like that, I want that. You know, it was just this feeling like that there's so much more to the body than what we can see. And this feeling that there's so much more to life than what we can see, which is something I always have known. But up to that point in my life, I hadn't found a really clear point of connection with higher power. I've always believed there is some kind of higher power, whatever you believe it is, but there's some kind of higher power. I just hadn't found my clear point of connection, my clear channel directly to that at the time. And I felt like this, like something about what I was reading in this book had something to do with my clear point of connection. So I was like, okay, that didn't even know what that really meant at the time. I then started reading about meditation, yoga, the chakra system. You know, the chakra system is your energetic centers in your body. I started reading about all of this. I started practicing meditation for really the first time in my life. I started meditating daily, doing yoga daily, even if it was 15 minutes, just to see what would happen. And it was amazing. Then as I was reading, I started coming across this word Reiki everywhere, Reiki, energy healing. And I was like, what is this? And every time I read it, it was like a zoom in feeling. Like it felt like everything just zoomed in, like you're supposed to know more about this. So I read a book about Reiki. And by the time I finished that book about Reiki, I was like, I need to learn this. I need to be trained in this. For me at that point, it was really about just self-healing, because I had discovered through the yoga and meditation that there was so much release happening. At the time, the person I was dating, I would cry. I would do meditations and I would just cry and cry. And he's like, are you okay? And my answer was, I am so okay. Like, I am beyond okay. I could feel. So I think to him, it was sort of alarming. It's like, what is going on with you? But for me, I could feel that it was this purging that was happening, this releasing of years of something. I didn't even know what it was at the time, but it was just beautiful release. So anyway, decided I wanted to get trained in Reiki. I was very clear about that. And, within 2 weeks of me having that feeling, I went to my favorite bookstore in New York where I lived at the time. It's this healing bookstore, and found out that they were opening up a healing center. And the first offering that they were making at this healing center was for the first level of Reiki training. And so obviously I was like, well, that's a sign. I'm going to do it. And I did. And the first level of training, if you are trained traditionally, they do each level separately. And that first level, which I did train traditionally. So that first level is all about self-healing. And you're meant to do 21 days of self-healing where you do Reiki on yourself each day. That 21 days changed my life, changed everything. I would wake up in the morning, do Reiki on myself, because you can do it to yourself or others. And as I was doing Reiki on myself, I would practice the 5 Reiki precepts. So there are these 5 like principles of Reiki. I'll share them. So you start with for today only. So for today only, do not anger, do not worry, with thankfulness, be honest in your work, be kind to others. And I decided that every morning I wanted to say these to myself until I believed it. So until I fully believed that for today only, I could do this. And when I would get to, do not worry, Sarah, I sometimes had to say that literally 100 times before my body could believe that it was possible for me to not worry for one day. Yeah. And I recognized in this practice that, I'm an anxious person. This was my recognition. I am an anxious person. I am worrying all the time, and I didn't even realize it. And throughout that 21 days, that all started to break down, and until by the end, I didn't have to say it 100 times. I could say it a couple of times, and my body would believe it. I would believe it in my cells, and I just released so much worry. I released so much anxiety, and everything in my life improved. So, that was my entrance in, and I started sharing it with family and friends first, and that was really powerful. Somewhere along the way, I started receiving these divine messages. So I would be doing Reiki for someone, and I would hear something that felt like a message for them that did not come from me, that I honestly didn't understand, and that felt fully illogical to share with the person. It would be like, why would I say this to them? Why? I have no idea what this means. And I would say it because by this time I'd become clear that, I would get impressions and things, and those I by this time knew those were right. Like, they were always right. So, okay, I started to share these messages that would come, and what would happen is I would share it, and there would be just tears, like that emotional release of something so resonant that it's like it instantly released something in them that they had been carrying or holding. And it was when that started happening that I was like, okay, I'm a healer. I'm meant to do this. Yes, I'm an artist, and also I'm a healer. This is part of my path. I need to do this. I need to share this with more people. So from there, I ended up opening my Reiki practice officially while I was doing a Broadway show. So that's what I did. That's what I did.
Amazing. And so you began with the hands-on healing, and then now you transition to doing the digital distance healing.
That's correct. Yes, I started with hands-on healing, and I actually, right before I opened my practice, I had been on this kind of 3-year journey of just really freedom. So I wasn't based anywhere. I had moved out of New York. I was just following my intuition, living moment by moment, letting my intuition tell me, where do I need to go next? How long am I meant to be here? And it was that in itself, life-changing experience. Um, and I went back to New York to do the Broadway show. That's why I started it then. Because I was like, well, I'm in one place for a while. So I started with the hands on. And shortly after that show closed, I decided to come out to LA. I eventually moved here, but I was just coming out for a while, and my clients still wanted to work with me. And I knew how well distance healing worked. And at first, they were a little like, is this going to work? Am I going to like it? People are a little skeptical about that sometimes, or they were. I think people are more open now that 2020 happened and everything turned virtual. Um, but yeah, it was really interesting. I had clients who literally said to me, I really wasn't sure if I was going to like it. I didn't know if I was going to keep going. And then I realized it's actually amazing. I get this same amount of healing. I find sometimes it's even more powerful, honestly. So yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that. And I've done a lot of distance virtual healing sessions. And yeah, it's really, really magical. Sometimes you really feel it and you really feel the releases. Sometimes I feel like I'm just in like a meditative state. Mm-hmm. And I can't really feel that much, and then my entire life changes.
Yes, I have a client said to me, she was like, it feels like sometimes I work with you and it feels like we're not doing anything. Like it feels like we're doing nothing, and then I see all of the changes happen in my life.
Totally. Okay, I have a few follow-ups from your story. First of all, what's the name of that bookstore in New York?
Namaste Healing.
Oh, I discovered that bookstore for the first time, and I was like, I had to drag myself away. I was in there for like hours. I'd already spent way too much money. I was like,
yes, 14th Street, right?
Yeah. That's so funny that you mentioned the Eat, Pray, Love thing, because I'll just like briefly tell you my Eat, Pray, Love story. So I'd never read the book, didn't know anything about it. And I had like the worst gastro infection when I was in Bali, when I'd like decided to quit working on film crews, put all of my stuff in storage, bought a one-way ticket to help my friend on her business out there. Everything fell apart, as things seem to do apparently when you arrive in Bali. They say everyone comes there for one reason and then they discover they're there for another reason. I was in the midst of like a mega burnout, and I'd like already decided that I was going to go to India. I didn't want to go to India. Everyone was just like, I was like really broke. I was really in debt from my master's. I didn't have a job. I was really ill. And I was like, I'm screwed. India is like the cheapest place I can go and like do yoga and meditate and recover from my burnout. I did my Vipassana 10-day meditation retreat there. Didn't plan any of this, didn't want to do any of it. And I discovered the Eat, Pray, Love movie when I was like sick with a gastro infection in Bali. And I was like, wait, what the hell is this? Like, this is what's happening to me right now. Like, I don't understand. And I even I did the whole like healer thing and like went to Bali after I saw that. I was like, I want to see this like magical healer person. I couldn't remember if it was the same guy or not, but
yeah,
so funny how it's such just like it's such a weird experience that seems to resonate with so many people.
That's amazing. I love that. I also love, one of the places I really would like to go is Bali. Last year I was like, I need to go to Bali, and I don't really know why. And I love hearing you just share that.
Yeah, it's one of those places that just like sucks you in for no reason. Mm-hmm. And then when I was in India, I ended up doing a Reiki certification, not because I like, it's funny how you just like end up doing these random things. I was like, I met this really amazing healer there, and she was like, you can keep like paying out all this money to go and see energy healers, or you can just learn to do it on yourself and like speed up your recovery. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
Amazing. So talk to me a little bit about like how you've navigated your career as an artist with your career as an energy healer and, now an entrepreneur as well.
There was definitely a learning curve with that. I know in the beginning, I had a little bit of fear, because one of the things, if there was one thing that I hate the most that they teach you in theater school, if you're in theater school, so many people would come in, like working actors who came to do workshops and things, and they would be really, really helpful. And then they would say, and sometimes teachers would say this too, to actors, if you can see yourself doing anything else, don't do this, do
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And that never sat right with me because I'm like, yeah, I could see myself doing like 10 other things and doing them well and being happy. And I see myself doing that and this. So anyway, I think, but when you hear it over and over, it's somewhere in you. So I think I had this feeling in the beginning of, well, will I be taken seriously? If I start this energy healing practice, especially when I actually started the business, just started my business in it, it was sort of like, well, I want people to be clear that I'm still an actor. This is not me leaving my path as an actor. I've always been very clear that I'm meant to do both. And really, both my journey as an artist and as a healer are serving the purpose to help raise the vibration of the planet, to help raise human consciousness, to heal the world, right? And so I think that was one thing that I had to navigate in the beginning. And what has really helped me, so first I had to release those thoughts and feelings and just know in myself what I was doing and why. And then I also, there was like a practical side to things too that felt like, well, if I'm putting all this time into building a business, then what does that mean about my acting career? Because I can't put that time into my acting career simultaneously. And what I really had to learn, and this was partially thanks to an amazing business coach that I was working with early on in my business, we really worked on recognizing that it's all part of a whole, that they feed into each other. And now I work with a lot of multi-passionates, and that's something we talk about a lot, and start to train our minds to recognize when you do this thing over here, start to notice what happens in on this other side, in this other aspect of your life, in this other aspect of your career. It always feeds into each other. I say it's kind of like a pizza dough. Like if you were rolling out pizza dough, you have like the ball of dough, and then you take the roller and you can roll in one direction, but inevitably all of it's gonna spread. So expansion in one direction of your life expands the entirety of your life. That's really what I think the biggest learning I've had in terms of being able to navigate both of them.
It's so true. And I love that we're having this conversation because, yeah, we work with the same types of people, like multi-passionate creatives who often feel like we need to like really focus in on one thing or put ourselves in a box or like not do too many things at once.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just talking about this on another podcast this morning, actually, of like, it's when you give yourself permission to do the things that bring you joy, that shifts your energy, and like that's the thing that creates those ripple effects that just uplift every single area of your business. Whereas if it's kind of like cutting off one of your limbs. If you deny yourself those parts of life that really light you up, that you really feel called to express yourself in, that will leave you just like limping around in the other areas, and it's like, what's the point? It's not as fun. And by giving ourselves permission to do all the things and to be really impulsive, follow our intuition, and do whatever's like calling us, that lights us up in that particular moment, when you look back with perspective, you can see how each of those little like play adventures that you went on gave you something that contributed to who you are and really elevated your abilities and everything that you show up to do.
Yeah, 110%. I think that was the biggest thing that I discovered during that period I told you about before I was back doing Broadway and then opened my practice, was there with these 3 years of just, where is my intuition taking me? And it was really just living just how I wanted to, just with no attachments. And part of the time I ended up in Hawaii for a little while, and what was so incredible about that, yes, it was Hawaii and that was amazing, but with just the setup of my life at the time, I had no attachments to anything. And I woke up every day and just did whatever I would feel like. What does my body want? What do I want to do right now? What is pulling me? And I don't know that I had really felt that for an extended period of time since I was a kid. And it was that navigating life in that way directly directly led me to making my Broadway debut. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but it directly led me to that, to booking my Broadway debut while not living in New York. So this is what's possible. I'm just so in agreement with you on that.
I love that. And tell me a little bit more about like the work that you do with your clients, and particularly working with artists and creatives and multi-passionates. Like, what are some of the common like blocks or stuck points that you see sort of coming up over and over again that you help them to shift through your work?
Definitely what I was telling with multi-passionate, it's just this idea that being pulled in too many directions and having to shift that. One of the things I think is just everything is everything, right? Everything is related to everything else. We are multi-layered. And when we are looking to move forward in our careers, we have to deal with our lives. Our career does not live in a vacuum. And I think that there's sometimes a misperception that that the career lives in a vacuum, that like, well, I just need to work on my career right now. I need to focus on my career right now. And I will say, like, if you feel like you just need to focus on your career right now and you're stuck at one level, if you're stuck at one level, you can't quite make it to that next tier, or you can't get clarity for that next part of your career path. It's not necessarily about, oh, I need to hunker down and just work on my career or take another class or whatever. It's no, we need to kind of take a step back and see what's going on internally that can be shifted so that you up-level your career, right? So definitely just those deep levels of self-worth and self-love, which sounds kind of froofy sometimes, but it's not. It is not. I can tell you, one of my clients, beautiful, talented actress, singer, and I was working with her, and she was one of those people. She was already successful. She was working a lot regionally and doing well. But she really wanted to be working kind of at a higher tier. And for some reason, it just wasn't happening. She kept getting kind of called into the rooms and she wasn't booking. And we started working together and working on her life. Every person who I work with on their career, we're actually just working on their life. We're working on their internal life. And that's what creates the career jumps. Yes, sometimes we look at what's the aligned action in the career as well. What's next? What's the best next step? What do you need to focus on? We do work on that. But at the root of it all, it's what's going on inside. So with her, we worked, and like we can track. She'll tell you this too. We can track, like, okay, we worked together for this period of time, and then you can look. She had a definite tier jump. Now she's booking at a higher level, like an objectively higher level. Then we have another set of sessions together. We work over another period of time. We cleared this really deep block in her emotionally that was very personal, so I won't go into it, but it was not about her career. It was about her internal life and her beliefs inside of herself. There was this very clear session. I mean, almost immediately, she booked her Broadway debut. And that is not an accident. It's not uncommon. This is what I see over and over and over. And also, I know a lot of artists, because artists, creatives, entrepreneurs, right? These are all innovators, right? Creatives, innovators. And what that also means, because we are people who can see very far, we're kind of visionaries. And what comes with that is also a really all-encompassing understanding or feeling of energies around us. So we feel deeply. We have to be able to kind of feel deeply to be able to see. Do you know what I mean? To be able to see what's possible beyond what's already manifested. So there's these deep feeling people that I work with. What happens sometimes is those deep feelings get tangled and there's a lot of emotional tension. We don't know why, or a lot of times it starts to manifest as something like depression. And what I'll say is if you're experiencing something like intense depression or intense anxiety, we need to look at that. It's when we look at that and are able to untangle it, get to the emotional root of it, clear that, that's when the career moves forward. So I had one of my clients says basically every chance she gets, she says, after 3 sessions of working with me, her 3-year depression was gone. And at this point, this has been a couple years and she's still doing great. So I think just I really want people to know, the artists, creatives, entrepreneurs, to know that if you feel stuck in your career or in your life, there's a way out of it. It doesn't have to take forever. It just takes willingness, for sure, on your part, and also knowing where to look. That's what I know where to look. I know where to look and how to move through it so we can release it.
Oh, so powerful. You're so powerful. And this is such an important conversation, right? And I really had that realization for myself when I went through chronic fatigue and depression in that transition point where I was, moving on from working in film and doing my master's to starting to work as an entrepreneur. And, it's like the way we traditionally come at things is like, how? What steps do I need to take to, create the result? And I'm like typical, type A overachiever, was like, I'm going to do everything and anything within my power to get better and to get my result. And I'm willing to try everything, and everything that I try, I'm deciding will be the thing that gets me better. And that is really the thing that got me better. But it got to a point where it's like, I was doing all the self-care stuff. I was doing all of the nutrition and supplement and, all of that kind of physical stuff, and cleaning up my diet and all of that stuff. And then I discovered mindset work and the power to magically attract resources and even though I was always doing that all along, I really was aware of my capacity to be able to do that, and being really intentional in terms of where I was going. I'm really committing to that and making much faster significant changes through mindset work. And then I just had this feeling that I was like, there's more to work on. And I just felt that it was something I didn't know about, that I needed support to shift. And it was that energetic and spiritual support and healing that comes through, energy work and working with healers. And when I really realized that and started committing to that type of a work, then it was that was the thing that had the biggest impact and the fastest results. And it's so important to talk about it, and it's so important to educate people about it, because it is such a powerful tool. And it's almost like, we inherit all of this stuff from our ancestors, from our parents, from our grandparents, all of these, just like we inherit our eye color and the color of our hair, and our genetic disposition for certain diseases, and we inherit fears and anxieties and just behavioral patterns that are the things that can keep us feeling stuck when we're moving into expansion, and we're living in a time and a place which is completely 100% different to even our parents in terms of opportunity and what's possible for us, in terms of the types of labor and activities that we do in order to create the things that we desire. And that's where energy work is so powerful, to just kind of it's like a big cleanup, like an internal kind of spiritual energetic cleanup, right?
Yes, I love that. I say it's like cleaning out a closet, right? It's like organizing a closet, and you have to kind of take everything out, lay it out on the table, and then figure out what goes where and put it back. And that's what I feel like I help people to do. And on this, it's interesting because the work that I do, it's on an energetic, emotional, and physical, tangible level, right? So it is the energy, and then it's also the emotion and also the mindset and like deprogramming. Deprogramming those beliefs that we inherited or learned, and then reprogramming the ones that serve us now. That's part of it too. And then, like I said, sometimes actually looking at, okay, what are the steps? What are the things we need to, what's the aligned action here? But yeah, I think it's really common to look at what's the strategy, and strategy is important, but we all know that already. And I personally think that one of the most powerful business tools is your self-development. I mean, they say entrepreneurship is one of the most one of the what am I saying? What, you know what I'm talking about? Like, they say entrepreneurship is one of the most powerful journeys of personal development.
Right.
So it only makes sense to fuel and take care of and intend on expanding your personal development on a journey of entrepreneurship.
Right. It's like 90% of the strategy is the mindset. Or what is it? And then that quote, and then it's like, and then the 10%. Oh, it's 90% mindset, 10% strategy, and then the 10% strategy is mindset.
Yes.
It's like taking care of your energy and the embodiment, because it's true. And in entrepreneurship, you're like, well, I have this big vision and I don't know how to get there. And you just come up against yourself over and over and over again of like, ugh, why is it so difficult for me to move forward in this way? And then you go inside and you pick out the pieces and you, like you say, do the cleanup.
Yeah.
And then you like, it's like you get like in a computer game where you get like a 1-up and you like shift to the next level, and
yes,
you just like found yourself in a whole new level.
Totally. And it's untangling, right? Because sometimes we know that we're stuck, but we don't know why. And we can't, and sometimes it's hard to ask for help at that point because we don't even know what we're asking for help for, right? But that's one of my superpowers, is going, oh, there is a knot. Oh, the knot's so big that you have no idea what it even is. You have no idea what's actually stopping you. Perfect. You've come to the right place. Like, I love going in there and figuring out what it is, and just hearing people say, oh, I've been feeling this for so long and I never knew how to articulate it. That's where those like divine messaging and those downloads come in. And it's super powerful. I love it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing your superpowers with us today.
Oh.
And everyone should come and work with you. So what have you got going on? Where can people find you if they want to learn more about what you're up to?
Yeah, you can find me at effortlesseasecoaching.com. One of the things I'm really excited right now is my Align and Shine membership, which is very much, encompasses all of the work that we talked about today and encourages that aligned action. So tuning into your intuition, learning how to even do that. And you have to be energetically clear to do that. But we do all of that work. We learn to tune into the intuition so that when you're asking yourself, what do I do next? What do I need next? How do I move forward? You know what your next best step is. You don't have to be looking to other people for those answers. I believe we all hold our answers inside of us. We just have to learn to access them. So that's one of the things the Align and Shine membership does. I also have a really lovely, if you go to my website, a back to center healing that I'm sharing right now for free. It's wonderful for any of those moments. We have a lot of them lately over the last year where we just feel like we're off center, where we do feel a little bit creatively uninspired or stuck or frustrated. For me, I just say, if you just feel a little off, if you feel a little off and you're ready to come back to yourself, try out this back to center healing. It helps to start bring you back. It includes like a few questions that you can always ask yourself to bring you back to center really fast. I use it. I use it myself. So I really believe in it. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, everyone go check out her work.
And also you can follow me on Instagram at the Rachael Ferrera. So there's that.
Amazing.
As well.
And we'll share all of your links below as well.
Perfect.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
For more inspirational content, head over to my website withsarahmac.com, and please support the show by liking, commenting, and subscribing.